There is just something about the sound of rolling dice, especially more than just one, especially dice with more than just 6 sides, that just triggers something in me. It's like a sense memory or something. I'm not sure what it is, but there's just something about that sound. And I kind of miss that when I'm playing D&D online. Hey gang, my name is Derek M. Cook, and this is the very first video for the Dice Monster Dice YouTube channel. I wanted to do an introductory video, kind of introduce you guys and gals to what is going to happen here on the YouTube channel and overall with Dice Monster Dice. So those of you who know who I am and what I do, you probably can tell where I got the name Dice Monster Dice from. I produce the Monster Kid Radio podcast. I'm all about classic and sometimes not so classic monster movies, and one of my favorite actors is Boris Karloff. One of my favorite writers is H.P. Lovecraft, his work, not the man, just to be clear. And Karloff was in a Lovecraft adaptation called Die Monster Die. It's an adaptation of his story, The Color Out of Space. It also stars the amazing Nick Adams. And I love this film. I love everything about it. I love the music, especially because I'm a film score geek. I just love this movie. And Die Monster Die, Dice Monster Dice, it just seemed to click in my head. So that's what we went with. So, Dice Monster Dice. I am making a play for the gaming YouTube space. I'm not really sure if that's the best way to put it, but it does have some gaming connotations. So yeah, I'm making my attack roll and I'm diving in because I'm just now getting back into fantasy role-playing games. I used to play a lot. Now, where I live right now in Portland, Oregon, I've had a couple of gaming groups over the years. Before I moved here, I lived in Bozeman, Montana, where I had a pretty solid gaming group. And even before then, I lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where I had another solid gaming group or two. And it was a lot of fun. Over the years, I've played various editions of Dungeons & Dragons, as well as a number of other games. Star Wars, the role-playing game, was a really big one. The edition from West End Games, the D6 edition. None of this saga or whatever else. It was the D6 straight up. I loved that edition of Star Wars. And I ran maybe like a 2-year campaign in that setting. I think that's right. And then a few D&D sessions off and on as well. Yeah, I ran the games, which should not come as any surprise to anybody who knows me, because I'm also a writer. I am a storyteller. So as the Dungeon Master, Game Master, Judge, Animator, Chill Keeper, bottom line is I was the guy that was always behind the DM screen, the GM screen, the anime. I'm doing it again. I ran the games most of the time and I had no complaints. I had so much fun doing this. It really allowed me to stretch my muscles creatively. And I've missed that so much. Why have I not been playing for a while? Well, sometimes life just makes it hard to spend time on a hobby like that. People move on as well, and just things stopped working out for me on the gaming front. And that's okay. Things happen. Life happens. What are you going to do? Well, these days, what I'm trying to do is find the things that used to make me really happy in the past and re-engage with them. And one of those things happens to be gaming. Now, over the next few weeks here on the YouTube channel, I'm going to talk a little bit about my gaming journey. I think in the biz they call this establishing your credibility, and I think I'm credible, but you guys and gals don't know who I am in terms of gaming. I mean, you might know me from my writing or my podcasting or anything else that I do, and I do a lot online, sometimes too much, but you know, I'm a gamer too, or at least I used to be, and I'm now diving back in. I was taught how to play Dungeons & Dragons in high school. Now, I graduated in 1992, so that'll tell you how long I've been with the game. And even then, second edition was kind of the thing. But what I learned on was first edition. And yes, I still have my first edition books. Things like the Player's Handbook that has some awesome artwork on it. Things like the Dungeon Master's Guide. Look at that. That is cool. And my absolute favorite cover from all of my first edition games, this one, the Fiend Folio. And I'm going to get into this in the future as well because, I mean, come on. It's a Githyanki. It's a Githyanki, man. Anyway, I was taught how to play Dungeons & Dragons in high school. I was taught how to play any role-playing game in high school. Up until that point, it wasn't really something that entered my circle of friends. And part of that is because I was brought up in a fairly religious family, and there were still remnants of the satanic panic of the 80s floating around out where I was living at the time. This would have been in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And yeah, there was a lot of talk about the dangers of Dungeons & Dragons, and that of course bled over into the other role-playing games as well. Now, my very first role-playing game was not Dungeons & Dragons. It didn't have anything to do with this beautiful Githyanki right here. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in the future as well. But first, I want to tell you more about Dice Monster Dice. Now, there is a YouTube channel. You're watching it right now. There's a Facebook page. There is a website. There is a Discord server. There is a Twitter. I'll make sure that all of them are popping up here on the screen right now. And there will also be links to everything down in the description down below. You know, beneath where you're supposed to hit subscribe and thumbs up and ring the bell. You know how it works. Anyway, I'll be talking a little bit more about what Dice Monster Dice is here in a second. Oh man, I can't wait for this Saturday to be able to work with Gary Con to show movies all day, fantasy movies and monster movies. I've got some short films, some fan films lined up. It's going to be awesome. And of course, I'm going to be talking about Dice Monster Dice the entire time because it's a gaming event. There's monsters too, and I'll talk about Monster Kid Radio and all that, but it's gaming. And I'm really excited about diving back in to the gaming community. There have been so many changes to the gaming community over the years that I'm really excited to explore and express my opinions about. You know, I'm not a gaming hipster, I don't think, but I was playing Dungeons & Dragons before it was mainstream cool. It was always cool, but you know, the satanic panic, you did it behind closed doors, you didn't tell your parents about it, you didn't tell girls about it. You know, the mainstream of Dungeons & Dragons now makes it a lot easier to express your nerddom, your geekdom, and justify why you're carrying a 20-sided die in your pocket all the time. Not that I do that, I'm just, you know. Anyway, Dice Monster Dice is not just the name of this YouTube channel. Dice Monster Dice will eventually be the name of the Twitch stream where you're going to see some live role-playing. I've got a couple of people in mind, one person who's pretty much confirmed that he's in, and a few other people that I'm talking to about running some games and showing it to you on Twitch. I've got not just a Dungeons & Dragons game in the works, but I'm also planning on a homebrew campaign setting as well. Something that I was starting to work on before I drifted away from gaming back in the 3.5 days. It's been really fun to go through my old notes that I've had sitting on a dusty shelf next to books like this, and remembering the things that I was working on at the time and just getting more and more excited. There are so many plans right now bubbling around in this head. I'm really hoping that by the end of this year, some of those plans will be laid out more for you guys and gals. And then 2021, if the world hasn't completely destroyed itself by then, there's going to be a lot more happening with Dice Monster Dice. I'm talking about campaign settings, original monster designs, new character classes, magic items, magic spells. It's really exciting to see how many times I use the word exciting in this video, but it's also really exciting to see that Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Dungeons & Dragons, is really allowing fans and semi-pros and heck, even professionals to go in there and create their own content for this role-playing game. Yeah, they did that with 3.5, but it's even more broad and expanded with the 5th edition of the game. So I'm really hoping that you stick around to the Dice Monster Dice channel. I already alluded to it a little bit earlier, but please do subscribe and hit the like and ring the bell, because then you'll know what's coming up next for Dice Monster Dice. Also, when we get enough subscribers, I can actually get that custom URL. So the YouTube channel isn't just youtube.com/whatever those letters and number combination mean. I can actually get youtube.com/Dice Monster Dice. That's our first goal. When we hit that, we'll know that we've gone beyond level 1. That'll make us a level 2 YouTube channel. That's the goal. I want to thank you guys and gals for being here. If you stuck around through this introductory video, thank you very much. I want to leave you with another YouTube channel to watch. Now, I've been watching a lot of gaming YouTubers lately. There are a lot of them out there that have some really interesting insights and suggestions for games, advice, things that they would do for homebrew, things that they would do for running a game online, which, considering the state of the world, is the only way I'm going to be able to run a game or even play a game. XP to Level 3 is the YouTube channel that I'd like to recommend this time around. This is run by a guy named Jacob, and he is, he's younger than me. He's not been with the game nearly as long as me, but I would say that he's probably played a heck of a lot more than me, and he really knows his stuff. And he's an entertaining YouTuber as well. The stuff is just fun to watch, whether he's breaking down a character class's history. I really hope, Jacob, that you do more than just the rogue. That one was really good. I'm excited for you to get to the paladin. That's... Anyway, he does those kinds of videos. He also shows some real play on his other channel, the Arcane Arcade. On the XP to Level 3 channel, he's got suggestions for the best equipment to start a game with, the best way to play a bard or a rogue or a fighter. I highly recommend it, and there will be a link down below in the description as well. If you do go check it out, maybe leave a comment letting him know that you heard about him through Dice Monster Dice. My name is Derek M. Cook, and until next time, may all your rolls be natural 20s. I'm sure that's not an original saying. I need to come up with a better sign off than that. If you have any suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. Thanks again, everybody. See you next time.